gonna watch this and go, wait, hang on, what is happening?
Yeah,
We're going back to basics.
Hello, we're back on Kelly's account today, and instead of farming for her account, because you know that's basically all we have to do realistically, today instead of trying to fix the account, I'm gonna fix Kelly. She's here. Hello. That's an insulting way to say. That's an insulting way to say. I just want to help you learn some Genshin mechanics, Kelly. So
if I didn't know you as well as I do, I would be insulted.
Yes, we are friends, and we like to. Oh, I like to insult people.
Friends.
Mostly to mess.
We're friends. What was it? 10,000 hours changes you from an acquaintance to a friend. Have we hit 10,000 hours yet?
I have no idea. I would think so. That was a 2-minute thing that we're not going to include in the video because.
No, I just derailed you instantly.
Yep, instantly derailed. Yep. This is how we work.
Yep, instantly derailed.
Good job.
We're like the worst two people to do this.
I have no idea what this video is going to be because of that.
All the waffling. No, that's okay. There's going to be good stuff in here. You're just going to have to do a lot of editing.
Why is everything red? Oh, I'm at the border.
Time to go.
You just ran off the map.
Yeah.
You can't even see. That's what happens to me when I try to talk and play at the same time. I just start to.
Oh yeah, there might be a lot of statting still in this video. My bad if it is. My goal while I'm talking to you, Kelly, about certain things is to be demonstrating certain things to you, as well as getting over to like this general area because your healer girl that you got, Yao Yao.
Yeah.
She needs a boss that's all the way over there.
Yep. I recognized that and I tried to do something about it, and then I got distracted.
Oh yes, I guess update with the viewers. I don't know if I told you this. I leveled him to level 70 and leveled his artifacts up. We got a couple lucky rolls. We got ER rolls there, which hopefully Kelly will understand the importance of energy recharge in this video. Got a new feather for him, has some EM, leveled this piece up a little bit, and the circlet exists. Overall, he's basically actually fully built. He has enough ER. The only thing he really wants is an EM circlet at this point, which will happen in the future. It's not like #1 priority for us. So your Cosmo is basically fully built other than getting to like level 80 or 90. But that's a longer term thing because right now we need your resources for leveling up the likes of Yao.
What I do know of energy recharge is that Bennett needs it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it.
Yes, because I said that in my last video.
Yep. No, I think that I knew that. I think that somehow I absorbed that information from somewhere.
The basic thing of energy recharge, knowing how much energy recharge you need is kind of messy and complicated. But generally speaking, it's like, hey, is the character's burst important to their kit? How important? If it's really important, you want enough ER to never have to worry about having it up off of cooldown, right? That's the basic gist. Yeah. So Bennett does not have enough ER right now. I can tell
Adventure time.
Adventure time. All right. So, first question, Kelly. Actually, wait. Before we got a couple wishes to do. Why not? Why not use these? We'll start with wishing content.
This is the best part of the game.
Exactly. It's the gambling.
I don't even know why it does nothing. That means nothing.
No. I think there's a good chance of getting
turn gold.
No, I mean it's probably not turning gold, but this one has a good chance of being a 4-star. Allied. All right.
No.
It's fine.
It doesn't because it's my account.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a guaranteed 4-star once we get Yao leveled up a little bit, which we should be able to do this video.
Oh, she has bells in her hair.
Yeah. You can.
That is so cute.
Oh, yeah, I haven't shown you Yao at all, have I?
That is one of the things that I appreciate so much about this game, the attention to detail and how when each character runs around, they make like the sound that they're... Yeah, I have always found that really... I love the leather sound that Rosaria's made. No, it just does something to my... It like scratches an itch in my brain.
Oh, speaking of
really cool.
Rosaria, what are the characters you like the most? Because that might be... Just so I can like build a team around them potentially for you. So just like... yeah, whatever ones. Like Rosaria was one of your favorite ones, I think, right? Do you still want a team around Rosaria?
I don't know if I like Rosaria the most. I think that I have nostalgia for Rosaria because she was the first. I think she was literally the first character I rolled ever, and so I just leaned into her really hard.
I mean, she's very good. She's versatile. So
I really, actually, I know. So I did watch the video you made of the last time, obviously. And really, I'm a terrible friend. I didn't watch it at all. No, I watched it. And You mentioned not really liking Ayaka's kit, but I do like.
You do like
her kit.
Ayaka? Okay, good. So you
Yeah,
want
I
to
like her little.
improve Ayaka a bit, okay? Or
Yeah,
her
I do
team.
like Ayaka. I think if I had to choose between Rosario, I did that thing. Rosaria and Ayaka, I would choose Ayaka. But I feel like a traitor saying that, so. And also Rosario.
I mean, the thing is, Rosaria and Ayaka work. Rosaria and Ayaka work really well together. In fact, so we can actually maybe get the best of both worlds there. The only problem with that is we want to either probably use Barbara, or there's an upcoming 5-star in the next patch that we might have a chance of getting for you. Called Kokomi.
Barbara stuff. I don't know. Well, I don't know anything about Barbara. I'm judging a book by its cover.
Yeah, it's just like you could either go no healer with an Ayaka team using Shincho, Ayaka, Kazuha, Rosaria, or if you want a healer, you want Kokomi or Barbara instead of Shincho, right? It's just a matter of if you want a healer, you don't really have a healer other than Shincho's very small amount of healing, right? Yes, that's Water Boy.
Water Boy?
Water Boy, yeah.
He heals?
Yeah, technically. His rain swords. Let's see.
What? Okay, this.
You didn't know he healed at all?
No.
Where
no,
is it?
I had no idea.
I don't even know where it says
Obviously,
this.
didn't
Oh yeah, right here,
know
right
his
here.
name.
When a rain sword is shattered or when its duration expires, it regenerates the current character's HP based on 6% of Shincho's max HP. And you're not going to make him be like he's generally speaking not your main healer. But you can get away with it.
I just use him to like, so it's easier to freeze people.
Yeah, that's the most important thing he does.
I didn't know he did anything else.
He applies Hydro so you can do other reactions. Speaking of reactions, do you know what reactions are? That's like question 1, I suppose. 5 minutes into the video.
You mean like when they cheer?
Yes.
That's like... No, that's like when they like smile. It's not.
When they smile?
When they cheer.
Wait,
When they
their idols? Like their reactions of their idols?
No, like is there like a
I'll tell you what reaction. I'm just
wheel? What is the word I'm thinking of?
A reaction wheel, like this? Or
no,
like your gadget wheel?
When they cheer or when they like
an emote in like
emote
in like an FPS or whatever.
An emote wheel.
No.
Yes, I'm definitely thinking of Animal Crossing.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, no, I don't. I thought reactions were like.
I understand why you think that might be the case, but no, it's definitely not what they are.
Slash cheer.
Okay.
Is it like elemental?
Yes, elemental reactions.
Okay.
So
if.
I guess question 0 instead of question 1. Do you know what the elements are in the game?
Okay, now I'm insulted.
I mean, list them.
List all of the elements in the game?
Yeah, there's 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's 7? Okay, I can do this. This is like,
yeah, I won't blame you for not getting the one.
Name all the continents. No, I'm gonna get them. So, fire.
Yeah. Pyro. Yep.
Cryo.
Yep.
Hydro.
Mm-hmm.
Fire is a different word though, right? It's
pyro. Yes.
Pyro.
Yeah, it's
cryo.
Yep.
Hydro.
Mm-hmm.
Dendro.
Yep.
Electro.
Yep.
Geo.
Yep.
And oh no, it's always the last one.
I would forgive you for not knowing the word for this one in game, but it's windy. The wind power.
Oh, okay. Arrow.
Arrow would maybe make more sense. It's Animo for some reason.
Animo. Okay.
Yeah. So, Animo. Yep. So you got them all. That's good. Okay, you got question 0. You just didn't know question 1 for the reactions. I mean, you know what? Okay, so.
Yeah, it's a reaction. So hydro, cryo, pyro, melts, cryo, and steams. It steams.
Steams.
Hydro. Yeah, it steams.
Okay. Well.
Vaporizes. I don't know. I don't know what Dendro does. I'm assuming
Dendro's a whole
not
mess.
great
We'll talk
for
about Dendro. No, well.
But it heals.
Dendro and Pyro can be used together. Dendro is a whole mess. It's in my opinion my favorite element for the things you can do with it, but it's complicated.
Pyro should be strong against Dendro because Charmander was strong against Bulbasaur.
I mean, there's not enemies other than like elemental shields, right? Enemies don't really have types to worry about, so it's not really a type weakness thing. It's more how the elements interact with each other when you combine them, right? So
So if I wait.
Ahead.
So if I'm fighting cryo, you know those plants that drop.
Yeah, the water
plants.
flowers.
They drop the things you need sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. No. But there's like different. Not all water. Like.
Yeah, no,
what
there's
if
different
I'm-
types. Yeah, there's
Right.
different.
So if I'm fighting the ice plant.
Yeah.
And I use fire on it, is that not like more effective?
No.
Really?
The only thing that matters is those plants do generate a shield. Like they generate an ice shield, and Pyro is better at getting through that shield, right?
Oh, but it's not actually stronger against the ice.
Yeah, you
plant.
don't actually do more damage against it. It's just getting rid of its shield. Mhm.
I have definitely been playing this wrong.
Yeah, that's a good clarification. That I didn't know that you didn't know that.
I really did think that like
Yeah, it's
Bennett
not
was
Pokemon,
strong
yeah.
against the ice plants.
Yep.
It's not Pokemon.
No. Generally speaking, oftentimes most characters have a talent that you don't really need to level up. Many characters only need like one talent. Like Bennett, you only really need to level up his burst. His skill can do decent damage, and it's not useless to level up, but not super useful.
Okay, so to be helpful, I don't know if this is helpful, but you said burst, and I don't know what that means.
Oh, burst. Oh, fair. Yeah. So burst is ultimate, right? It's the glowy thing, the Q ability.
Oh, ult. Okay, his
right?
ult. Yeah.
Yeah. Is ultimate.
I'm a league player, so Q is ult.
Okay. Genshin calls it burst. It's ultimate.
Okay.
Yeah, same difference,
Okay.
right? And then skill is the E ability, right? So the Kazo, that's like his jump, right? Skill is the E, the other ability, right? And then normal attacks is just clicking normal attacks, right?
Yes.
And then charge attacks you can hold normal attack and do a charge attack. Each character
Yeah,
has
because
a
you said that to me the last time and I didn't know what you meant either. You were like, do
Yep.
his charge attack, and I was like, what? It was
Yep.
briefcase guy, and you were like, use his charge attack, and I was like, I want to pretend I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the basic functioning of any character, is those three abilities, right?
Yep.
That's what you do. And then the nuances in how they interact together, how the elements interact together and whatever, and like how the cooldowns match up, etc., etc.
Reaction.
He's basically an all-in-one unit, and Pyro is useful for various things, so which we'll get into.
Melting stuff. Although
Yes,
not
yeah.
apparently ice flowers.
Well, I mean, you can trigger.
I'm so distraught that you can't kill the the what? So if you're fighting like the electrical guys in the ice place,
Yeah.
Time to go.
using like water on them isn't effective at all. It just doesn't matter.
No.
Everything
the only thing that
Pokemon
would,
taught me was a lie.
I mean, yeah, Pokemon, because this is not Pokemon, believe it or not. The only thing that would really matter, let's see if I can like go find an enemy to demonstrate. Right? Actually, I think I know. There should be a Whopper flower that spawns over here. So, when an enemy, there's enemies that like will apply an element to themselves when they're doing certain things. There's a chest there. Let's see. There we go. So
Okay, so if there's an enemy, that guy, like
Yes,
you can't use water on him.
you can
like
use
water
water on
won't-
him, but like, right,
But would
water
that
is
not
gonna
make
do no more
be
damage
stronger?
on him than it is
Oh.
any other element, right?
That's not okay.
Except you can see when he's in this mode, see the little fire symbol above him?
Uh-huh.
Time to act.
That means he self-apply, he has pyro on him, which means if you do hydro on him, it's going to do the vaporize reaction, right? The reaction that gives you more damage.
I feel like Genshin is breaking all of the rules that every video game has set before it. And I was playing
Why is that
it
a problem?
genuinely-
Because we do different
I don't
mechanics.
know. I'm struggling with the fact that you can't. So the elements interact with each other.
Yes, it's based on like
If
elements
you
that are
use-
currently on the enemy and also on yourself. Like, see, this is a fire enemy. It hit me with a fire attack. So if I get hit by a hydro attack after that, they would also trigger vaporize on me, right? So.
Okay.
That hurts.
So here's the problem with the video.
Mhm.
Is what you thought you were going to teach me the basics of Genshin. You actually had to teach me the most basics of
Yeah,
Genshin.
I mean, this is the most
Yeah.
basics.
Yeah.
Yep,
This is-
I
this is
kind of
like-
thought that.
Yeah, this isn't even like here's math.
Mhm.
No, this is like here's the literal baseline that you need to know to actually be able to play this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
Okay.
the little red bar, by the way, the
we are
pyro.
chaos.
Exactly.
Time to act.
Did you see the little red bar that appeared under the flower, by the way? So when because it generates a little pyro shield for itself, right? It'll probably do it again here shortly.
What? I don't know any of this.
So the only time you really need a particular element or want a particular element against enemies is when they generate shields. Which is like when
Is it
they,
those
the
little dancing?
the little bar
The
under
little,
the little bar
like
under.
fairies? The bar is his health.
No, there's a little
What do you
bar
mean
that I
bar
put.
under
Did you
it?
see the bar that appears under the red bar? The
No,
main red
no.
bar?
No.
Oh my gosh. So watch when it does this little charging up thing.
Okay. I'm watching so. I've never
Watch under the health
paid
bar.
more
Yeah,
attention to something in my life.
Most enemies that have shields that are up until you get through them. This is a weird enemy that see under its bar, it has an orange bar.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, it's orange. It's
So
orange.
that
Okay.
you want to hit that with Hydra, you can see I stunned it, right? That's just a mechanic of this individual enemy. So like
Okay.
shields are the
Yes.
only time you really need particular elements for particular
Yes.
enemies.
Because
Like as far as like the allegory to Pokemon goes. Otherwise, what matters is when it has Hydra, you see it has Hydra on it. Now I can do Pyro on it, and I trigger the Vaporize. So do you see it said Vaporize, right? Which meant I did extra damage with Bennett's damage.
Or you could cryo and he would freeze.
Exactly. Yep.
No, because he's fire. He doesn't freeze, right?
No, it would. It would.
Oh. I see. I know. No, I know less than nothing.
The only reason you might struggle on freezing this enemy consistently is because if you have since he applies fire to himself when he does his little shieldy thing, he can get rid of any element you applied to him, right? So when he's doing his charge up ability, you won't be able to freeze him because he's applying an element to himself that interferes with something else you're trying to do, right?
The fire.
Yes. Because if you're
Because you
trying,
can't
if you're
freeze
trying to apply like hydro, right, water and then ice to do freeze, and the enemy does an ability that applies fire to itself, you're not going to be able to apply hydro to it to be able to freeze it, right? Because it's just going to vaporize instead, or it's going to melt instead of being able to let you do the freeze, right?
Wow.
So yeah, that's just like enemy shielding mechanics, and it's just like different enemies have different mechanics, and like they'll apply elements to themselves sometimes, like this thing does.
Right.
But we can still apply Hydro to it and then freeze it. See?
Okay.
Right.
Okay. We could just title this
Some
video
nuance to it, but
Lesson 1 Reactions.
basically yes. I mean, reactions is what the whole combat in this game is about.
I didn't even know that after that, like after you figure out what reactions means as a definition, that there was like, I really didn't know that I wasn't fighting the enemies properly. Because I thought,
yeah, it's about the elements you have on the enemy,
a
right?
fire flower with a water character.
No, yeah, that doesn't matter.
Oh, that's gonna make the game so much easier to play.
Exactly. You don't have to worry about that.
No.
The only time you have to worry about it is when there's like abyss mages, right? Like those dudes have shields.
Those are awful. But yes.
Then the stereotypical Pokemon element thing applies.
So I think that's why I got confused, because I think the abyss mages were so hard to fight.
But that's because they have an elemental shield, right? It's only the shield that matters. Now that the shield is down, right? It doesn't matter what element we put on it at this point, right? Because it's not going to do any more damage. It's just
Okay.
right. So we can put Pyro on him, and then we can Vaporize with Xingqiu, right? And then we can do Kazuha, Swirl, whatever, right? So.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Alright.
So Vaporize does more damage.
So I guess let's go through the list of reactions. So
The most useful is definitely making them wet and then making them freeze. Because then they stop moving.
It's not my favorite reaction in the game, actually. But freeze is...
Because all I have is cryo characters.
Fair. I mean,
it's my only option.
Cryo, you can also do Melt, which is Pyro and Cryo, ice and fire together, right? And
See, but I didn't know that did damage. I thought if I froze an enemy and then I used Pyro and it melted, that I undid my freeze. Like, I thought that it was a bad thing.
I mean, it would undo your freeze, but normally if you're trying to do Melt, you wouldn't do freeze and Melt in the same team. You can. But more it would be for Melt, it would normally actually be you do fire first. So say you do Bennett first, and then you do Rosaria. And you can get like 1.5, 2 times damage on Rosaria's attack by doing that, right?
Okay.
So
I didn't realize that there was a whole damage thing associated with. Okay.
So going through the different reactions, generally speaking, like not every element reacts with each other. Like Geo reacts with nothing functionally. So Geo, we're just going to ignore because it's basically
That's what I
useless.
turn all my Geo crystals into different crystals.
Yeah, that's what Geo does, and it's useless. That's what you need to know about Geo. It does basically nothing. Geo is sadly like it's just in a sad state. Basically, mono
Even
Geo.
though everybody loves Zhongli.
Everyone loves Zhongli because he has a shield that basically is impossible for even the hardest enemies, the highest like damage dealing enemies in the game to get through.
Oh, I thought everybody loved him because they had a crush on him.
I mean, that might be it too. So Pyro. Pyro reacts with Hydro for Vaporize. It's basically just more damage, right? Pyro plus Hydro is more damage. Generally speaking, you want to do... Actually, no, we're not. Just keep it simple. Pyro, Hydro is more damage. Not talk about the complexities. It's much more complex as far as like which wants to trigger which, but I'm not going to get into that.
No, people are gonna watch this and go, "Wait, hang on, what? What's happening?"
Yeah,
We're going back to basics.
So all that's important for you is Pyro plus Hydro is Vaporize, and that is strong, right?
Okay.
Pyro plus Dendro is a reaction called Burning, which keeps up Pyro on enemies and makes them take small amounts of Pyro damage. It's pretty. You can.
It's like when trigonometry clicked in my brain, except it's this.
Yeah.
No. Okay. It's not what it's not. Okay. So.
I can demonstrate Burning to you.
No. Hang on. Let me explain how I understand now.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, what's his name's mage thingies? What are they called?
Abyss
mages.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So those notwithstanding, ultimately, the elemental reactions and taking advantage of those is not about the element of the enemy. It's about the elements that you pair together within your own party.
Yes, but enemies sometimes have their own elements that they apply to themselves. Like Abyss mages have a shield. That before you can do reactions on the Abyss mages, they have their own elemental shield that you have to get through, right? And that's just like a mechanic of that specific enemy. Who's this?
Okay.
Zeldris.
No, it's good. Look, you taught me stuff.
Yeah, perfect. You learned something. Success.
Yeah.
It only took 40 minutes.
I feel so I feel so learned. It only took 40 minutes for us to get that one mechanic down.
All right, so I'm going to show you Burning real quick. So Burning is pretty simple.
How many mechanics are there? Okay.
I mean, I'm going to go over the very basics of most of the reactions. I'm going to ignore some of them. So anyways, Burning is pretty simple. Pyro, so fire, plus Dendro. We'll throw out that. You can see Burning triggers, and you can see they're taking ticks of 63 damage for a short time. That's
damage over time!
Yeah, exactly. That's Burning.
Like an MMO player.
It's that's Burning, right? Dendro plus Pyro is Burning. If you want, we can make a team around that to take advantage of that. Kazuha is actually the main character that can make that Burning teams really strong. But explaining that will take too long. For now, we're just going to do the basics. But the reason Kazuha makes that strong is because we'll get into Anemo. I'm leaving Anemo for last. It's the one I have to explain the most about to you because it's the least intuitive in my opinion. But also like the strongest one, particularly for like casual overworld exploration when using Kazuha, right? So Pyro plus Electro is a reaction called Overload. It's meh. There's niche situations where you can use it. It's basically, it does an instance of its own separate overload damage. It doesn't give you bonus damage.
But fire is what you have to use on the electro things in the world to make things happen.
You don't have...
Yeah. The crystals and the rock walls that are electro, you have to use pyro on them.
Yes. That actually does the overload reaction, and the overload reaction causes like an explosion. So that's why it breaks those rocks. That's why they teach you. That's basically their in-game method of teaching you what overload does. So overload does a small explosion of like AoE damage. It's useful in really niche situations. For any of the teams you're going to use, you're basically not going to use it. It causes knockback on enemies that are lightweight. So if you want to have fun sending enemies flying, you can use Electro and Pyro together. And then Pyro plus Cryo, as you mentioned before, is Melt, and Melt is just more damage, right? So it's Pyro and Hydro is Vaporize is more damage. Pyro and Cryo is Melt is more damage. The difference between those two is which one you want to trigger which reaction.
So are there combinations that don't do anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go back. So
it just feels like it's like pair anything up with anything.
Well, yeah, Geo plus anything basically does nothing other than those crystals, which they do nothing.
Geo is useless.
Yeah, Geo does not react. That is basically, it's sad because it basically doesn't exist.
Poor Zhongli.
Cryo plus Dendro don't react at
At
all.
least he's pretty. Okay.
Cryo plus Dendro don't react at all. Anemo and Dendro don't react at all.
Okay.
So yes, there are combinations that don't react together. I'm mentioning the ones that I think are relevant. All right, Hydro and Dendro I'm not going to get into because it's complicated. It's the most complicated and it's the most fun reaction in the game in some
That's
ways.
reactions
It's-
102, not reactions 101.
Yes, basically. I mean, it's more like react. Honestly, Hydro plus Dendro is a reaction called Bloom. Let's go find some more enemies.
Bloom.
And it's the problem with that is that you can do other elements onto the things that are created, the cores that are created. So I'll just show it. So if you apply Dendro with Yao Yao here,
Poor Hilly Charles.
Yao Yao, target one. Thank you. Blam.
Thank you for sacrificing yourself for my education.
So you see those little cores there, those little green thingies
yes.
that are being created? That's the
Yes.
Bloom reaction. What you're supposed to do with those is you
Oh.
use different elements on them to do something with them. So you can see I use Bennett's skill on them and it explodes. That is called the Burgeon reaction. You can also use Electro on it and it will make them like it'll create a homing missile that homes into one enemy. It is one of the, yeah, it's really cool. And
No, okay, can I just say, okay.
Yeah.
So this game gets a lot of flack for the whole gotcha thing,
Mhm.
and everyone's like, it's just about making money, and it's about rolls, and it's about, what is it, the lottery, it's the gambling. There's so much attention to detail,
Oh, yeah.
and even in just the mechanics.
yeah, the elemental reaction
this
system is brilliant in my opinion.
Yeah, this is really well thought out
Yeah.
and produced.
This
is
reaction
not
system.
A
Sorry to
gambling
interrupt.
simulator. People just think this is just a gambling simulator. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
this was just a gambling simulator up until like now. This is really well thought out. Like
Yep.
I knew that the attention. I knew it was a high quality game. I knew the attention to detail was stellar. I knew that it was a AAA title that you were essentially being able to play for free unless you wanted to contribute.
Mhm.
I didn't realize the
Time to go.
intense attention to detail, particularly in the mechanics. Like that's a lot.
Yeah. And
That's
the
really
funny part is
impressive.
like that's just like the very basics. There's like a lot of like really subtle nuance I'm leaving out. That's why I don't want to get into it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that
I'm
the
just really
explosion
impressed.
that you saw there was called the Burgeon reaction, where you do fire on that. And then there's also Electro you can do in those cores, and that creates the homing missile, and that's called Hyper Bloom. And that is both of those reactions are really strong. There's one of them is stronger than the other for various reasons we're not going to get into. But yeah, that's basically a reaction, right? That takes instead of 2 reactions like most reactions are in the game, that's a 3 reaction system, right? So Hydro and Dendro is a system that takes Hydro and Dendro, and then you use Pyro or Electro to react with the cores to create another reaction, right? Which is complicated, and it makes some messy teams. And there's also some other nuance, like even though only Pyro and Electro do a trigger on those cores, there's actually some subtle things that like Cryo does that interacts that can actually make those teams even better. And it gets kind of wildly complicated when you try to get into the weeds. But the very basics of it is do those 2 things together, creates a core, do something else, does something else, right? And yeah, I agree. Like the reaction system, in my opinion, is the best part about this game. And it's really well designed.
I wasn't even paying attention to it. I didn't
Mhm.
know. I was just like, I want wishes so I can get more characters.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you really get into it, you're like, oh, hang on. Someone thought about this.
Yeah, go figure. It's not just waifu
No.
simulator.
Yeah.
Try to get over
Just-
to actually. I, just
I
gotta
live
wait for
off topic.
it. Me too. that's,
Yeah,
that's my
I
entire
know, that's-
off
we're
topic
so
is my
bad.
entire channel.
We need a script.
All right, so continue reaction stuff. Dendro and Electro is relatively simple. It's just more damage mostly. There's a lot of nuance I'm leaving out here. The way that like Dendro and Electro is more damage together is actually in a very different like base level. Like how the game calculates the damage is very different from how it calculates the damage for Pyro and Hydro vaporized together. But basically, Dendro and Electro is more damage. Cryo. I think we talked about basically everything with Cryo. Oh, there's Cryo and Electro is Superconduct. It's pretty sadly useless. It gives you all that Superconduct is makes your physical damage higher. Right. This whole game, as you just learned, is like more is dealing with the elemental reactions. Physical is not a reaction, right? It's just white numbers whacking with characters' normal attacks.
Yes, yeah.
So like if you really enjoy like the normal attack animations of Yayo, because it's like cute how she like stumbles and whatever, right? You can do that. Is kind of the idea. That's why you'd use something like Superconduct. It's not, you don't really build a team around Superconduct, I guess is the way to describe it.
Unless you want them to look super cute.
Yeah. You don't build a team around Superconduct, you make a physical team that you use Superconduct in. Alright, so Animo. The reason I haven't described the Animo reaction. Animo, the Animo reaction is called Swirl. And in many ways, I wouldn't call... Animo and Hydro are probably tied for the most useful reactions in the game for how good they... I
don't use them a lot.
Yeah, you don't, I mean, you'll use them more with Kazuha.
No. So I know Sucrose...
Yeah.
Yes, Sucrose can do... So, okay. Yeah. So if something's on fire, or whatever, and then you use... the fire is the one I noticed.
Yeah, you can put...
And then you use Sucrose ult, then it whooshes and everything's on fire.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the on the simplest level. That's what Swirl does. Swirl spreads elements to other enemies, right?
Yes.
But what you maybe have not noticed is that Swirl does its own damage. Swirl does its own damage. So you see the 100 numbers that popped up there?
Yes. And some of them are the colors of the elements.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the colors of the elements. So Swirl, what happens is when you trigger a Swirl, which is Animo on... So Swirl can happen on Pyro, Hydro, Electro, and Cryo. Can all be swirled. So Dendro and Geo cannot be swirled by Animo. And the reason that's really strong is for a couple things. One, because Swirl does its own damage. So Swirl does its own damage, and like Kazuha, his whole kit is made like whenever he swirls, he gets even more bonus damage. Like this whole passive basically says he gets bonus of damage on top of his normal swirl damage, right? But you get damage based on a character's elemental mastery stat. Oh, I haven't even... So that stat, by the way, all these reactions we're talking about.
Yeah.
Elemental mastery is probably the least intuitive stat in the game. It's actually pretty simple. Any reaction you're doing, the higher your elemental mastery, the more the scaling of how much that reaction does, the damage like multiplier on that reaction, it increases, right?
Okay.
So like with 0 elemental mastery, when you do, the simplest way to explain this, right? When you do Pyro plus Hydro together, that's a vaporize, right? You'll do 1.5 times or 2 times damage depending on which one triggered at baseline with 0 elemental mastery. When you have some elemental mastery, every point of elemental mastery increases that scaling from that base like 2 times or 1.5 times to 1.7, 2 point whatever times, right? So it just elemental mastery increases your reaction damage, right? Characters like Kazuha are you try to put as much elemental mastery on them as you basically possibly can, and that just straight increase. And because so much of his damage comes from just the swirl damage, where it's completely based on those numbers there are just based on his elemental mastery, you get a crap ton amount of damage. So Kazuha can spread elements around, right? And then you saw that you mentioned before, right? They were the color of the element that you swirled, right? So he swirled Pyro. He did instances of Pyro damage. Now, we just talked about what reactions can you do on Pyro damage, Kelly?
You can do... Yeah. So I thought you were like quizzing me.
I mean, I can, but I was trying to get you to be like, oh, you can do reactions with the swirled element that Kazuha had triggered.
Yes.
Right? So what?
Yes.
So the reason it's so strong...
okay.
Yeah, see, there you got the
a little bit longer than it should have. Okay.
Right? So, like, if I'm doing something like I'm using Xingqiu, for example, to apply Hydro, and I use Bennett, I do this, I do Kazuha's Burst, which is going to apply Pyro, and then I do Hydro, which he just died.
Yeah.
If he didn't die, Kazuha is doing hits of Pyro damage that's swirling Pyro around on all the enemies in the AoE. If I'm applying Hydro with Xingqiu's Burst and whatever, while that's going on, every Pyro hit that Kazuha is swirling is also triggering Vaporizes and getting damage from that. And like that's something like so many people do not give enough ER to Kazuha. That's where like 90% of Kazuha's damage in like sustained situations comes from, is he does a crap ton of damage because you can get like chained reactions, right? And the nuance of why that's even more complicated is like, you know how I showed you the Bloom reaction before? If Kazuha swirls Pyro or he swirls Electro in his burst, he can also be the one to trigger those cores. So you can use an Animo character as if, like, you can use Kazuha to absorb Pyro, and he can trigger other reactions as if he was a Pyro or Electro character or Cryo character.
Right. Right.
right?
I get it, and that is an O.
That
So it's funny because I used Kazuha. Kazuha. I used him
probably
after
without.
you got him for me
Yeah.
when he was much lower, and it felt like he was doing more damage than my like leveled up characters that I had invested in already, and I
Yep.
couldn't figure out why.
Yep, that's why.
That's why. Okay.
Yep, you can see it's basically dead already.
Yep.
So, to be clear, once we build your, the notable thing that is notable, like I'm sure you know a little bit about, you know enough about artifacts that like crit damage and crit rate are good, right?
Yeah.
Because they make
Chase those.
Yeah.
Chase those crit numbers.
Exactly, but certain things like Kazuha swirls don't crit, so you don't care about crit rate at all for the most part on him.
Okay.
Those colored numbers are the numbers that can crit. And that's, you'll see that like when enemies don't have any elements on them, right? So the numbers you see right there, those ones can crit. And that 750 damage, that was technically a crit because it was bigger. But obviously you can see that did no damage, right?
Right.
I mean, it did a little bit, like 2,000 damage there was a crit. That's not nothing. But as soon as I apply power to them, and then I do the same thing, they're just going to instantly die, right?
Oh.
Because now I
so
swirl.
cool.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Animo is one of the more complicated reactions, and it's very strong. Oh, I didn't even explain. The other reason why Animo is really strong is this artifact set, Viridescent Vir Never. You can see the 4-piece set.
Viridescent Venerer.
Venerer. I always say it wrong. I don't know.
Never.
I think I've probably said it wrong since I first started playing the game, and I will probably forever say it wrong. Yeah, Viridescent Venerer. Venerer. The important thing is the 4-piece set increases swirl damage by 60%, which is significant. That just gives you more damage. But then this second thing decreases opponent's elemental res to the element infused in the swirl by 40% for 10 seconds. That's basically math numbers for you can do a lot more damage when you do a swirl of an element on an enemy, basically. So if you look at, we'll try to show it. So if I do Bennett's skill here, you can see 471 damage, right?
Yep.
If I swirl Pyro, hopefully they don't die. There we go. I swirl Pyro. Now for 10 seconds they have a debuff where they have 40%. You can see the little arrows.
Yeah.
You can see now I did 758 damage on a non-crit.
Right.
Just because I had the debuff applied from Kazuha's artifact set, right? So the reason that's important is if you have someone like, so say like using Kazuha and Ayaka team, you swirl cryo around, it can basically make your Ayaka do 30% more damage just by using Kazuha or Sucrose in the team, right?
Oh man, I have seriously been neglecting Sucrose.
Sucrose is basically Sucrose is very, very similar to Kazuha mechanically, by the way. The only difference is like Kazuha is a little bit better in some ways and a little bit worse in other ways. That is not worth getting into. They're both very, very similar to each other. And the best thing about having both of them is that you can use both of them if you want. It's because the Spiral Best requires 2 teams, right?
Right.
In a difficulty floor. So if you want 2 Animos, you can have Sucrose on one side and Kazuha on the other side. I'm almost, by the way, to where Yaoyao's boss is.
Oh yeah?
I'm just trying to get the waypoint up here.
We're making it!
Yeah, it's right down in this cave. But yeah, we'll get Yaoya leveled up, and she'll be your #1 probably favorite healer forever. But the only asterisk of you need to use her burst to do most of her healing.
Oh no, it's a cube boss. They're awful.
It is a cube boss, and this one is a little bit interesting. I like some of the mechanics they did this one, which I may as well show you here. All right, so you see this mode? He does a little slammy. Yep. After he slams down, you can hit him with Pyro and make him exit it immediately.
Whoa!
Which is pretty nice.
Ooh, and you got me an achievement.
All right, and then this tree mode is pretty simple. You can basically just do whatever on him for a bit. When the weeds get close, he's gonna explode on you, so you just want to jump and avoid them. But you can either jump over them like I did, or you can also just use Pyro and burn the vines down and just walk straight up. So it's a pretty easy boss to fight.
I know we're talking about like math and the economics of whatever's going on here, but I'm just noticing the ridiculous art direction and yeah.
The ridiculous art direction? How so?
Yeah, it's just it's so good. It's so pretty.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm slightly left brained. Is it right brained or left brained?
The creative brain? I think it's...
I don't know. It's the one that's not, like, it's like, okay, math and everything, that's great. And yes, totally following and learning things. But way more intrigued by the art direction and the attention to detail and the use of space in the design. It's just really good.
Yep.
And I don't know if I've ever paid enough attention to it before because I've always been like actively playing and interacting with it. So now that I'm just watching you play and interact with it, I'm very aware of how deep the attention to detail gets.
All right,
and how
so this is a little annoying. Yeah,
well
good
done.
boss fight. I agree. Most artifacts, by the way, like people overthink artifacts. The simple way to think of artifacts is they give stats to your characters. That's it, right? Like
okay, yeah.
this whole mess of a screen. This is how the game calculates your damage, right? So most of these stats are just calculating your damage in some way. They're all just about giving stats to your character so that you can keep doing damage and keep using characters' abilities. That's artifacts, right? And
see, now that's where I would ask, like, I would wonder, is that a balance issue or is that a tactic to get people to keep rolling? Because
it's a progression system. It's a system to keep people playing, right? Because it's a grindy system to try to get better and better stats for your characters, right? That's RNG based, right? And yes, it's annoying to get the really good artifacts, but particularly for people like you, and there's a lot of Genshin players that are like not that dissimilar to you, where they just mostly don't care about the hard like combat in the game, right? They don't care about doing the Spiral Abyss that much. And if you don't care about doing the Spiral Abyss, mini characters, you just need like the right main stat on your artifacts, and that is not that hard to get most of the time. Right. There is cases where it can be a bit annoying. Like Kaza is actually a little bit annoying to build, but even Kaza, I was able to build to be functional. You can see he's performing really well, and you mentioned before, it seemed like he was doing more damage than any other characters, and I had to spend about a day's worth of your like resin material farming for it. Like maybe 2 days worth, I think. Maybe 2 days or a little bit more. That's not much, right?
No.
And
not unreasonable.
If you want to hyper optimize, make Kaza really good, takes longer. If you want to make Ayaka do a lot of damage, it takes longer because she wants like your rare crit stats, right? But she's a little bit harder because of that. But getting characters to a baseline level usable is not that hard because I think people overvalue crit and they don't understand that half the time all you need is like an attack percent timepiece that like hopefully has something good in substats in it, but if it doesn't, just try to give the most stats that are good for your character as possible, like for what you have, and there you go. And it really doesn't, like having done 3 different accounts that I've farmed for, the progression has always been the same, where it's like it's a little bit rough initially, but it does not take that long of farming for artifacts to get to the point where it's like now you have competent enough builds to clear most of the content in the game without it being a nightmare struggle. Generally speaking, someone like Kaching, she herself, because of how the reaction damage works, she herself wants to be leveled up, and the weapon needs to be leveled up. She's a character you want her to be level 90, and the weapon needs to be level 90. So like, anyways, she can do big damage even with the artifacts right now, which these aren't like the perfect artifacts, right? But with Harbinger of Dawn leveled up, and like on a Kazuha team, like Kazuha, Yao Yao, Kaching, and like Fischl or Beto, probably Beto since you have her leveled up already, can do a lot of damage.
Because she breaks rocks.
So, yeah, so yeah, if you want a breaking rock team, we can do.
I need someone who can break some rocks on my team.
Okay, so you need a breaking rock team. So I'll switch the Kaching team here. Where was it? This team. I'll put Beto here instead.
See,
she's already leveled up, and she breaks rocks. There we go.
Yeah, as someone who spends a lot of time exploring, it's very important to have someone in your party who can break rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've gone over everything I mentioned on my notes. By the way, the main thing I wanted to discuss. Yeah, the main thing I wanted to discuss was.
I'm impressed.
It took an hour and a half, and I have to edit this down to like a 20-30 minute video.
Sitting here, I'm like, this is just so much chaos. I don't know how you're gonna use this. I didn't even realize how basic my knowledge was. It's the most basic. It's extra basic. Like you said, like level 1, no. 0.
No, level 0, yeah.
Yeah, level 0 information is necessary.
I trust you.
Actually, you're at world level 6. I'm so confident we're gonna turn it to world level 7, Kelly.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, I always play a world level under. Always.
Not anymore.
Ah, I'm like a real.
It should be
I'm like
fine.
a real. I'm
Hopefully.
like Pinocchio.
You're Pinocchio. What?
I was
Oh,
gonna
you're-
say
oh,
I'm like
you're
a real boy now, but then that would be complicated and
Yes.
confusing because I'm not a boy. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a real person,
You're a real
all
person.
grown up.
Mm-hmm. But yes, even like that, right? It's just like we just put the best of what we have, and now it's like good enough. Just by knowing how to do the things together, right?
Yeah.
Is all it really came down to there.
Yeah. It's like Rosaria, work-life balance is a thing.
It's like, no, I'm playing a video game. Whoa! You see that? We just got a crit damage feather.
Yeah,
Really
we
nice.
did.
Part of the reason we got that, by the way, is because we increased the world level, which gives
feather!
which gives us rare artifacts.
Oh, haha. See how you throw that in there.
Yeah.
By the way, if you play at the actual world level you're supposed to,
You get better things. Yay.
Mhm.
We got one more wish. I guess we'll probably end it there.
A wish!
Yeah, and
A
then
wish!
the next episode I'll work on other things. I don't know what. I gotta get you like new
You
weapons.
have a whole list.
Yeah, I gotta get you new weapons. So I don't know. There's a lot of things to focus on. That's the main problem. Is like none of these things individually take that much time, but all together they take time. So
We're like
I don't know.
basically starting from scratch because I didn't even know what reactions meant.
Exactly.
I thought we were looking for a wheel so we
Mhm.
could cheer on people and smile.
yeah, basically. Hey, we're guaranteed to get a 4-star on this. The best thing we could get is honestly the most fun thing would be like a sack sword for Kazuha. See what
There
it
it
is.
is.
Aw, it's a sword, but not the right
Oh,
sword. That's
I already
sad.
have that.
It's a pretty garbage one. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I think
Okay.
my focus will be getting Yaya leveled up, getting Kaching
Yep.
leveled up a little bit, getting some weapons for your characters, and then I farm Emblem and Guild of Dreams forever.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Time to go.
That's the goal. I have no idea what this video will turn out to be in the edit because I am at 2 hours and 2 minutes of recording. We waffled a lot.
We are the waffle.
Yeah, we are the waffle.
We are the waffle.
We are 2 waffles together, which
Waffles.
which is a lot of waffles.
It's so much waffles.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, thanks for watching. I guess subscribe for more or whatever.
Thanks for waffling.
Yeah, thanks for waffling. And yarp. That's all I got. Anything else to say, Kelly?
No. I already used my quippy thing with the waffles.